All right, looks like we went live. So I've been meaning to do this for about a week. So today, what I'm not talking about, and I say this because a few folks who will see this, like, yeah, he's usually on here talking about taking your sales and marketing online. That's a pretty hot topic right now. So yes, I am talking about that a lot. That's actually not what I'm going to be chatting about today. I was doing a little bit of house cleaning in my Dropbox folder, and I came across several folders actually of assets, and that's what today is. So I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing. If what I'm going to share with you might be helpful for you, just shoot me a note. I'll get you a link. That's the deal. There's nothing for sale here. But let me give you a little bit of background. So probably, I don't know what it was, maybe a dozen years ago, 10 years ago, it was about the same time, like through the spring into the summer months. I was actually running a different business at the time. It was called Tobin Slavin Seminars. In fact, let me see if I can do this. Yeah, so this is one of the things that caught my eye. This is a poster that I created for one of the stage hypnosis shows that I was doing back then. This one was at Next Generation Theater. It was in July. We actually had a lot of fun that night. Anyways, I have a whole bunch of resources from my hypnosis days. And I was looking at these and thinking, if there's somebody out there that is like maybe super stressed right now because of what's going on, they're quarantined at home, they're sheltering at home, maybe they're not sleeping, maybe they're just feeling like when we get stressed, we get stupid, right? We're not in touch with our fullest resources. So maybe if they just wanted to like be at their best, like be able to tap into that wise part of ourselves and be a little more resourceful with what's going on around us, maybe that's would be helpful. Anyways, I've got some resources. If those kind of things might be of interest to you, I'll show you what they are in a moment. But this poster here was actually, I got into the hypnosis space after my coaching days. I was first a high school and then a college basketball coach. And when I got out of coaching athletics at the college level, I really sort of missed my time in the coaching space. I missed working mostly one-to-one with the athletes. I loved practice. The games were fun, but I just loved spending time with the team and working one-on-one. I'm really into the personal development thing. And so athletics and coaching was an extension of that. And I saw hypnosis as being sort of my way to stay involved with athletics. You may or may not know that most high performing, like Olympic level athletes, they all have mindset coaches, and they're using tools like hypnosis, though they may not call it that. You might have heard other terms like, meditation or relaxation or visualization is a very common one. We're all talking about the same thing. Like hypnosis is not this taboo, voodoo thing. It's really just psychology in action. In fact, that's when I look at this poster, I have to kind of laugh. That's actually why I got into doing the stage hypnosis, because I found it super compelling. Like when I watched other hypnotists do this, they had my full attention, and I wanted to know why. Like, how is this? What's actually going on here? And what I can tell you, this is the confession of a former hypnotist. What I can tell you about this is that, sorry, I'll take the poster off because that's probably, people think I'm like promoting something, and this was years and years ago. So what I can tell you about hypnosis is, yes, it's real, right? So a lot of people assume they see one of those comedy stage shows and people are up on stage and they're just sort of acting and going along with the flow, but they're not really in hypnosis. They're kind of like fakers, right? And that's not true. It could be true in some cases, but a good hypnotist is actually testing the people on stage. And if someone is faking, you see signs of that and you dismiss them back to the audience, because a person who is on stage and faking can actually really mess up your show, if that makes sense. Like if they're faking, you no longer have control of the situation. They're in control. And so they might fake 1 minute, and the next minute they might ruin the show for everybody, right? By doing something unexpected, because they're not in hypnosis. So long story short, when you're doing a stage show like that, you're like doing these sort of tests. People don't realize that's what's going on at the time, but you're asking them to do things and you're watching their reactions. And all of us, every single person out there has experienced hypnosis. You just probably didn't call it that. Every night when you go to sleep, you go through hypnosis is like a brainwave, a stage of brainwave. So you go down into sleep, you relax, and you sort of go through that hypnotic space into sleep. And then in the morning, you come out of sleep back through that stage, that sort of waking up stage where your brain waves are really sort of big waves, really slow. I don't mean to get more technical here, but some people are interested in this. Here's what I can tell you as a former hypnotist that I thought was really fascinating. So that specific show, like this one that I was showing you from the poster. So I remember the night we did that show because one of the things that I did that night was I actually had my group up on stage, and one of the volunteers that came from the audience was a college student. And I, as part of the fun that we were having that night, I said, you know, you are stuck to the seat of your chair, and no matter how hard you try, you can't get up from your chair. You can push and, you know, wiggle and everything you can, but you're stuck to the seat of your chair. And by the way, the wording of how you explained, like people say, how could this even work? It's the language patterns are really important. But the big story is this was a college student. He was stuck to the seat of the chair, and he was kind of doing this. He was wiggling back and forth, and the audience was laughing, saying, yeah, maybe he's playing along. And then I used to, when I did the shows, I would keep a wad of cash in my pocket, right? Like 5s and 10s and stuff on purpose. So I walked away from the young man who was stuck to the seat of his chair, and I started dropping 5s and 10s, you know, I don't know what it was, $45, $50 on the floor of the stage in front of him, and was telling him, try as hard as you want, but you can't get up out of the chair to grab this money. Now, this is a college kid, right? And we know that's beer money, right? So there are not many college kids that aren't going to say, okay, I've had fun, but I want the money more than anything else now. And in this case, you know, he was, the volunteer was great, right? He was really intent on getting, in fact, he was trying so hard, wiggling back and forth in his chair, that he actually fell over on the stage. His butt was still, and by the way, he was not actually stuck to the seat of the chair. You get that, right? In his mind, he believed that he was stuck to the seat of his chair, and that was more important than anything else. But he literally tipped over on the chair and was laying on his side with the chair on his side, trying to reach out to grab this cash on the stage. And we had fun with it. My point is, the human mind is much more powerful than any of us realize. And when I was doing this years ago, let's think how I can, let's switch. I think I can pull this up. Okay, so this is the folder that I was telling you guys about. As a matter of fact, let's do this because you don't need to see me. I'll just walk you through. So there are a couple things in this folder. Again, to be clear, I'm not selling anything. There's nothing, you can't buy this, right? I used to sell it. It's not for sale. I'm not trying to collect money from anyone. I probably could. I know a lot of people are doing specials and stuff, you know, to just stimulate their own personal economies. I'm just, if there's someone out there that you think that this would benefit you, and if you're actually going to use it, don't ask for this if you're just going to put it in your Dropbox folder and never open them up, because what's the point of that, right? Like, I'm not helping you. You're not helping anybody. Like, just move on, nothing to see here. But with that said, there's 3 things here, 3 different folders. So the first one is this audiobook. And I actually created, there's an overview. I think this one might actually be the full book, if I remember right. I think I had to, it's a full audiobook. It was like maybe 150, 200 page book that I created at the time. And I think the parts are each individual chapter. I think this is the years since I've actually opened this up, but I think this is like, if you did this one, the audio is probably, you know, like an hour long or something like that. It's all the parts of the book. The next thing is, so this is the Mind Body Mastery is actually, this was what I was really interested in. So where I did a lot of self-hypnosis work. So there's a testimonial in there from someone who went through my program. You can see this is 2010. This is a while ago, right? But emotional mastery, like, it seems like that could be pretty valuable for someone out there right now. Maybe you, I mean, I don't know. Like, if you think that this could help you, like I said, let me know. Emotional mastery, hands on the wheel, like feeling like you're in control of your life, that you're driving and not someone else. And that also might be really important and sort of relevant to what's going on in the world around us. If you're feeling a little bit out of control, this session in particular might be useful. The Ho'oponopono process is actually from Joe Vitale had a book. So I read the book, I took the components of the book that really spoke to me and put it into a session for myself. So that's what this is. It's a healing, clearing kind of session. So again, if you read, you don't have to read the book to use it, but it was something I wanted for myself. Making the choice, self-hypnosis backdrop. If I remember right, that's probably just the audio that I was using that was helping people go a little bit deeper, helping myself go deeper into self-hypnosis. So this would be without my guidance, but just like relaxing sound. Self-hypnosis next steps, self-hypnosis. You can see I've got start this week. So I had a self-hypnosis whole series that I did for myself and for clients. New story, timeline sessions, teaching self-hypnosis, want to lose weight, wise mind process. This is when I saw this one, I was thinking, this is like when we're stressed, we're stupid. I mean, that's just how the brain works. Like when we're under stress, we don't have full capacity of the brain going on. This whole frontal part of the brain, this like logical, thoughtful, part of the brain that's really great at coming up with brilliant solutions. It kind of just shuts down when we get stressed. So the wise mind process might be helpful for someone right now. And the your new story is about someone who wants to make a change in their life. So this was very relevant because, again, for athletes, I did a little bit in the stop smoking, lose weight. We did seminars around losing weight, but it was really the athletics that was most interesting to me. And again, the, sort of personal development thing. So this whole mind body mastery. And then what's the other one? Oh, there's other sessions. Okay. So in the other sessions, I did a session. There's a book called Cash in a Flash, which is, who wrote that? I think the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy wrote it, or maybe was a co-author on it. I don't know that for a fact. I can see the book cover. It had an orange and green book cover, so I can see the cover in my mind. Mark Victor Hansen, maybe. I'm not sure about this one. I could look it up. But quite often when I was because I was creating these sessions for myself or for clients, when I read a really good resource, I would essentially digest the resource, take the golden nuggets out of it, and build them into hypno session. Kind of makes me think I should be doing that again, actually, because there's a lot of good information in the world if we could tune into. And it's kind of like my friend Justin the other day was talking about accelerated learning and being able to jack in, like in the Matrix, when they put the rod into your brain and you have this like experience, like Neo from the Matrix says, I know jujitsu now, right? Well, this is kind of what was going on with self-hypnosis at the time. Really deep self-hypnosis, depth testing script. That's probably not relevant to you. This is actually something I was teaching myself when I was doing. So depth testing is what I was telling you earlier, that when you do a stage show, a stage demonstration, you have to test people to see where they are in hypnosis to make sure they should stay on stage and be part of the show. And so it says script. This is what I was actually using to learn my pattern, learn the words so that I could do that part. Dreams and desires, ebook auto suggestion. I actually don't remember what that one is. Fear and worry. This one's probably pretty relevant. Another hands on the wheel, magnetize your mind. So if there are problems that you want, like if there's a solution out there that you can't figure something out, this magnetize your mind, like really getting in that prime, tuned in, tapped in space. Prosperity. And then ultra height was a process that I learned from one of my teachers, Jerry Kine, taught ultra height. And so I created my own ultra height process for a self hypnosis session. And wow, these are like 2008. So this shows you Like this is a while ago. I haven't thought about or even been talking about these things for a while. Long story. Hey, Landon, appreciate you jumping in there. By the way, Landon, love what you're doing. I just signed up for your offer yesterday, so I'm excited to see where you go with that. There's no offer here. This is just like I'm doing some digital spring cleaning in my Dropbox, and also my mind has been thinking. My work is virtual. It's online. I do these live streams as part of my work. We talk about, like, if you're a business owner and you have a team and you want to, like, you're worried right now, right? You might have to lay people off on your team. Those folks, I'd love to talk with you because we have a really good solution. I'm not going to get into that now. That's not what this is for. With that said, if you're feeling stressed, if you're having trouble sleeping, if you think maybe you're not at your best right now because of what's going on in the world around us, and it just feels like you're carrying a burden, and you've got 30 minutes that you could take, to do like a meditation or a self-hypnosis session, and some of these would help you, shoot me a note and I'll give you the link. You can have the whole thing. Listen to the ebook first, the audiobook, excuse me. Listen to the audiobook so you know, like, what the hell is this self-hypnosis thing? Like, what is it really? So I gave a whole bunch of examples in there, so you can listen to that and then just take whichever session speaks to you. Cool. I'll make sure you get a Landon saying I want it. Yep, I'll make sure you get that, Landon. It will be. I'll shoot you a note through Facebook, probably be through Messenger. And Mandy says she'd love a link to it as well. Yeah, you got it. Hey, my only goal here is to make life a little bit better for folks. This is something that I have. Maybe someday I'll come back to this because I did love the work that I was doing, but when I got into the online sales and marketing space, I found I'm not really good at multitasking. I think most of us guys aren't very good at multitasking. The women seem to be a little bit better. But I really, when I'm learning something, like, I'm all in. So in the last couple of years, and Landon's actually a great example. So Landon is brilliant in a number of different ways, but in the sales and marketing space, I've learned a ton from him in the conversational outreach, online sales and marketing space. And so when I'm trying to absorb information from people like that, my mind just has to go all in. So when I was shifting gears in my business, when I was getting out of hypnosis and the seminars and getting into the online marketing space, like, I had some folks calling up saying, hey, can you come do this event? Can you do this? And I was referring them to my friends in the business because I just said I had to make a stop and shift gears and put my mind completely on this new space in order to onboard what I needed to be functional and do well in this space. And you know what? I really love what I do. With that said, maybe someday I will go back to and do a little bit of hypnosis, particularly around, I like the idea of this accelerated learning and, like, taking some of my favorite books, boiling them down because when I read a book, I'm really curious if this is true of you guys. If it's just me, just maybe you'll throw a note in there and say, you're crazy. Like, this is not how the rest of the world thinks. But when I buy a book, almost every book that I've ever bought, with the exception of a few novels, and like what would be an example, like Snow Crash or something like that, where I just wanted to geek out on the fiction. But mostly when I buy a book, it's because I read the title, I read the table of contents and the blurb on the back of the book. Like, I did my research on the book and I said, I want to be able to live. I want to be able to experience. I want to know this thing. I don't want to just know it conceptually. I want this in my life. Whatever it is, the book, I read a lot of nonfiction, whatever the book is about, I want to install it in my life. But a lot of times we know things, but we don't act on them, right? Just the fact that we know it doesn't mean it's installed in our life. So that's what's probably most interesting. That's the one thing that might bring me back to this space, maybe someday. Anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. I don't want it to go too long. Several of you, Mandy, Lori, I see. That's awesome. I'll make sure you get a link too. If it's helpful, I'll make sure you guys, get a link to it and just, hopefully it'll benefit you. And if someone sees this on replay, if we're not connected, just shoot me a note. I'm not listen, I don't like the just throw links out there to people. I don't know what people are going to do with it. There's little things that I'll tell you guys, like you don't listen to these sessions when you're driving down the highway. There is a thing called highway hypnosis, but it's not so cool for me to be like using these sound, like I have binaural beats and things that make you really relax more quickly. And it's not so cool for you to be driving a car. And so like the beginning of the audio say, look, if you're driving, now's not the time for this, like save it for later. But if you can sit in a chair, have a little bit of quiet space, it's great for that. Like you'll go deep fast and you'll feel great coming out of it. But anyways, that's why I just don't want to put the links out there. As long as you guys are cool with that, I'll share the links. You do well with it. And hopefully everyone will benefit. Appreciate you guys. Talk soon.